Hello everyone, you're on the Stokrat Zoom channel, and today in front of you is a relatively rare binocular from the German company Carl Zeiss. Why isn't it written anywhere here that this is Carl Zeiss, but only aus Jena 1Q, the binocular's quality mark EM and 7x50? Well, I'll start with the specifications. 7x50 means 7 times magnification, 50 is the diameter of the objective lens. EM was used to mark marine binoculars, marine glass, but nowhere does it say that this is Carl Zeiss. And that's all because East German binoculars couldn't be supplied to Western Europe, West Germany, or the United States with the Carl Zeiss label. There were all sorts of legal restrictions on the use of this brand. And in order to get around all these bans, they simply wrote aus Jena on the cap, which means from Jena. This binocular is, in essence, a complete copy of the Carl Zeiss Jena Binoctem 7x50 or the Carl Zeiss Genoptem 7x50 binoculars. Considering the year the binocular was produced based on the serial number, we can say that it was manufactured in 1965, which means it is a complete copy of the Carl Zeiss Binoctem 7x50 binoculars. That's because the Genoptem 7x50 binoculars only started being produced after 1971. In terms of main specifications, these binoculars have a field of view of 128 meters per 1 kilometer. The minimum focusing distance is 4 meters. The exit pupil is 7.1 millimeters. Binoculars with these specifications are excellent for use on ships and in low light conditions, since the exit pupil is very large and allows the maximum amount of light to reach our eyes. These binoculars have somewhat dirty optics and some mechanical issues. It needs to be completely disassembled and relubricated. Overall, disassembling and cleaning the binoculars is not difficult at all. The main thing here is not to be afraid. As you can see in the video, there's nothing complicated, just follow the steps in order. First, unscrew the objective lens caps, then the lenses themselves, and then the body. Unscrew the 3 screws and remove the prism cover. As you can see, there's nothing complicated about this. Sometimes, in old binoculars, the screws get really stuck. In such cases, you need to unscrew them on the first try without damaging the screw head. Next, turn the binoculars over and unscrew the cover from the eyepiece side. Here, as you can see, the locking screw is missing. Apparently, someone has already disassembled this binocular and either lost it or forgot to put it back. I have special tools for this. You can buy such tools, for example, on AliExpress. We unscrew the barrels in which the eyepiece moves and also get access to the prism covers. In my opinion, the binoculars have the original strap, but as you can see, it's wrapped with tape. This looks really bad. I'll give the owner these 2 strap connectors as a gift. Next, we continue disassembling the binoculars just as you see in the video. So let me repeat, there's nothing complicated about this. If you're disassembling a binocular for the first time, I recommend recording the process on video. I hope that my videos have already helped some people and will help others in repairing their binoculars on their own. And don't forget, I would really appreciate it if you support the channel with a like and of course if you subscribe to my channel. After removing the prisms, you should start cleaning the binocular's body. First, I treat it with alcohol and wipe it down. You can also clean the outer surface of the binoculars with alcohol. It won't hurt. Next, I take some lubricant and apply a very thin layer to the inner walls. This will help prevent dust particles from getting onto the optics. Now, let's try unscrewing the objective lens. You need to unscrew the retaining ring. Just in case, I place a piece of cardboard with a diameter of 50 millimeters like this so as not to scratch the glass. If the lens doesn't come out of the housing easily, you need to turn the adjustment ring. And in the same way, we unscrew the lens from the other half of the binoculars. Well, I paused for a bit and did some work. The binocular's body has been completely cleaned and lubricated. The same goes for the tubes that hold the lenses and the prism covers. I cleaned those as well and lubricated them. Now let's move on to the lenses under running water, washing off all the dust completely so there wouldn't be any small hard particles left. Next, we very carefully start treating them with a specialized alcohol solution and meticulously cleaning them once again. I personally have this particular kind of incredibly soft, high-quality microfiber cloth, which is exceptionally gentle and absolutely doesn't damage the delicate optics at all. Every time I wipe, I always use a new spot on the cloth, just in case, so I don't scratch anything. And here, just take a good look, the very first thoroughly cleaned prism. If you take, for example, this dirty one, you can see the difference. This one is dirty and this one is clean. I have two prisms that have been cleaned. Next, I put on the two prism covers. And now we start. Just assembling everything in reverse order. And you can gently blow it out very nicely. And then carefully put this beautiful prism securely in its proper place. First, it needs to be cleaned and then the prism cover. The central focusing wheel, a critical component, was turning very stiffly and with considerable resistance, so the entire mechanism truly needs to be completely disassembled, thoroughly cleaned of all the old, hardened grease, fresh, new, high-quality grease carefully applied and then meticulously reassembled. So, let's continue. The binoculars are almost completely assembled, almost completely cleaned. These two parts here need to be screwed in. You can't use this wrench for that because it's very easy to deform them. There are two options here. The first option is to carefully tighten them by hand, and the second option is to disassemble it. The eyepiece. I'm going to do that now because I need to lubricate it. Insert the sleeve with the lenses inside and only then screw it in. I'll show you that now. There are 3 screws here. You can unscrew them completely or just partially. Oh no, I made a mistake. There's 1 screw here. So this eyepiece has 3. The sleeve, it's so dirty. It will need to be wiped clean. I'll just show you. You insert it right here like this. And now, just so you know, you tighten it. This grease that's here is old. I don't like it, so I'm going to remove it completely. That's the first thing. And secondly, there's too much of it here. You only need a tiny bit of grease in the eyepiece. And I'll do the same with the right eyepiece. There's a diopter adjustment here. There are already 3 screws here. We unscrew all of them. and here everything will also need to be regreased. And now take a look. You see, everything here is clean. Everything has been thoroughly cleaned. Now I'm going to lubricate it as well. Also, take a look at the eyepiece. The eyepiece consists of two groups of lenses. In total, there are 3 lenses here. Actually, right here, these are 2 lenses glued together. There you go. There's nothing complicated about it. So now I need to assemble all of this and mount it onto the binoculars. Alright, let's get started. I've already cleaned up a bit here. Look, the binoculars are almost like new. Why almost? Because these binoculars are already many years old. And even if you take modern binoculars, they can also run into problems like fungus, mechanical damage, and so on. Take a look at the problem that remains with these binoculars. It's the damaged coating on the outer lens of the eyepiece. People just wipe it like this with their finger. You shouldn't do that. It's better to blow it off, use a blower, blow it like this, and then very carefully wipe it once with a damp cloth. Do the same with the objective lenses. You also shouldn't rub them too hard because that will cause significant damage, including damage to the coating. In some places where there was fungus, the coating is already gone. Here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spot in this area. That's not dirt, it's not fungus, it's the remnants of the fungus. It lived here, fed, and ate away the coating. And now there's this defect. The same applies to prisms. There was also fungus on the prisms in some places. And now, at certain angles, you can see where the coating has, as they say, been eaten away. Someone has already disassembled this binocular and slightly deformed these tubes or sleeves along which the eyepieces move. That's precisely why, on certain occasions, you might attempt to rotate the component like this, and then you'll notice there's a noticeable bit of persistent sticking. Regrettably, there is absolutely nothing I can effectively do about this particular issue, primarily because the underlying deformation is occurring at an exceedingly, incredibly minute, almost imperceptible level. Overall, all the parts here are made very, very precisely. Each part fits into the other very, very tightly. Well,
so remember, under no circumstances should you deform this part, because otherwise the eyepiece won't move smoothly. It'll get stuck at this spot, there could be misalignment, and overall you'll have mechanical issues. It seemed like I had already filmed everything seemed fine, but a little problem came up. Since there's no dedicated locking screw mechanism here, this large screw got a bit loose over time, and the eyepiece begins to noticeably tilt, and then subsequently gets stuck. That's why it's very important. This screw must be in place. I have a little box here. I'll try to find one and screw it in. Regarding collimation, if you're interested in how I do it, you can watch my separate video. There's a link to it here in the top right corner. In this binocular, everything is made so perfectly, the body is crafted so precisely that I didn't have to collimate it at all. I just mounted the lens with the collimation ring like this, and I didn't have to adjust anything at all. The binoculars just work really, really well, and the image doesn't double. Well now, as always, let's take a look. The weather outside is kind of autumn-winter. As you can see, the image isn't as bright anymore. Well, actually, the sun isn't shining much outside either. If it were a bright summer day, the image would undoubtedly be much brighter. However, this vintage binocular simply can't truly compete with more advanced and modern binoculars available today, such as the popular 8x42 or the powerful 7x50 models. The binoculars do have some spherical aberration, and there's also quite noticeable chromatic aberration around the edges. Maybe it's comfortable to look through these binoculars at night, since the exit pupil is 7mm, but let's be honest, the binoculars are quite heavy and bulky. That's why I recommend switching to more compact binoculars, like 8x42 or 10x42 with roof prisms. My advice to you is, don't pay attention to binoculars like these. It doesn't have any collectible value, so just switch to something modern. Thank you all for watching the video. If you found it interesting, if it helped you repair your binoculars, leave a comment, share your experience, and give the video a like. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.